Well, good morning, 8th grade math class. Welcome back to another day of our online learning. So we are now on lesson 10.2, which is on page, going to be on page 400 eventually, but it's going to start on page 397 and thereabouts. So if you would, I would turn in your books to this page so you can follow along with me. So we have a brand new topic that I don't know that you've covered in any other math, and it's called this box and whisker, box and whisker plot. Okay, you probably want to write that down. This is what we're going to be doing today, is a box and whisker plot or box and whisker diagram. Basically, what it's going to look like when you finish is there's going to be a dot down here, and there's going to be a dot way out here at the end. Okay, and this down here is the smallest number. Okay, and then if you're tracking, you can guess this is over here. It's going to be the largest number, right? That makes sense. So it's going to have 1, 2, there's 2 points, but it's going to have 3 more points. It's going to have the median point. Okay, and so this is going to be the median. Okay, we found how to do the median in our last one. So far, that's pretty easy, right? Smallest, median, and the largest. Small, middle, large. However, they add another point in between these and in between these. This is called the lower, that's a O, lower quartile. Okay, kind of a weird word, but it means that it's in the lower half. It's a quarter of the whole thing. And then this point over here is going to be the upper quartile. Sorry, my writing's not very good on this screen. But that point is going to be the upper quartile. You see it's between the median, which is here, and the largest, so it's in the upper, and this one down here is between the smallest and the median, so therefore it is the lower quartile. So the first thing we have to do with any set of numbers, so you can write this down, first step is to arrange in ascending order. What that means is that you have to go from the smallest to the largest. Okay, I'm going to let you write that down, but if you need to pause the video at this place, and then I'll show you what this is going to look like when we have some numbers to actually look at. Okay, so if you need to pause it, go ahead. I'm going to get a clear canvas here. So let's say that they give us these numbers: 12, 32, 29. As you can see, they're not in order. 35, 33, 17, 28, 24. So I'd write these down if I were you. 22, 25, and 31. Now this is, if you're following on your page, this is page 399. Okay, I'd turn there and follow along with me, page 399. And this is example 3. Okay, now the first step is to get these in order. So I look here and I say, which is the smallest? Well, thankfully the 12 is the smallest, so I put 12, you're small. So 12, you're smallest. Then I look and I say, what's the next biggest number? Right here, 17. Okay, and I say, what is next after 17? That would be 22. Way over here, so I write 22. Then after 22, that would be 24. 24. Then I come down here. Next biggest is 25, right? You guys can count, put these in order. What's after 25 would be 28. After 28, we got 29. After 29, we have 31. After 31, we have 32. Then 33. And then lastly, 35. Okay, does everybody see that was our first step, was to write those in order. Okay, that's very important. If you don't do that first, none of this is going to make sense. Now, easy part here, guess what? What is the first number? What's the smallest number? That's easy. That's 12. And what's our biggest number? Also easy. That's 35. So I come down here and I put a dot and I have 12. I come way out here and I put a dot and I have 35. Okay, that's easy. Now we have to find the median. So the way we do this is we're going to count from both sides. We're going to go, how many numbers do we have total? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That means we have an odd number. So we're going to have 5 on this side, 5 on this side, and whichever one's in the middle is going to be our median. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That makes it so that our middle one right here is 28. That's our median. So now I take our point and put a point right here for 28. That is our median. Okay, now the hard part. We got to try and find the dot that represents this, which is the lower quartile, and the dot that represents this, the upper quartile. So the way we find that is now we only look at the numbers from 0 to the median. And then for the upper, we look at above the median to the end. Okay, now there are 5 in each one of those halves. Now the way we find what is left here, let me erase some of these dots so you can see me count again. So the way we count is the same way we counted before. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. So it's 1, 2 on this side, 1, 2 on this side, meaning that our lower quartile is 22. So I go down here and I write 22. Not too bad. Now I do the same thing with this side. I go 1, 2, 1, 2. That means that 2 on this side, 2 on this side. Oh, didn't like that. 2 on this side. So that means that our upper quartile is the middle one, which is 32. So I come down here and I write 32. Now, the way that they draw this is with a box. We take a box and we go from this point all the way to the upper to the lower, and then we draw a line right there. So and then we draw a line from that point to the box, and then from that point to the box, and that's what it looks like. Is we have the lowest number by that dot, we have the lower quartile, the median, the upper, and the largest. Okay, so that's what your box is going to look like at the end. Now you saw the first step was to put them in order. If we don't put them in order first, it doesn't really matter what we're doing. Okay, now that was easier because there were how many total? There were 11 total numbers. And 11 is an odd number. Now where this is going to get a lot harder, where this is going to get a lot harder is when we have an even number, okay? So let me do an example with an even number. So here we go for even numbers. Let's say that they give us 10, 12, 13, 13, 21, 21, 29, and 32. Now, how many do we have in this case? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have an even number. Now, does that affect the smallest and the largest? No. The smallest is still 10. The largest is still 32, right? So when we go to make our dot down here, we have that point, which is going to be 10. And we have this point, which is going to be 32. Okay, that's the same. Nothing changed, right? That was the easy part. Now we have to try and find the median. So if you remember last lesson, the way we do that is we say how many are on the side? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this right here is our median. You may say, well, how do we find the median? Well, if you remember from the last lesson, we find it by taking the average. So we do 13 plus 21. Okay, these two numbers we add and we get 34. And we had two numbers, so we do 34 divided by 2. And so the median is 17. So I put the dot here and I say this is 17. Okay, I hope you're tracking with me. This right here is the median. Okay, that point, which we found to be 17. Okay, I'm going to let that sit there. The way we found it was by adding these two numbers, that number, and then dividing by 2 over here because there were 2 of them. If you need to pause it, go ahead and pause it. I'm going to undo those marks I just made so it's not too much to look at. But that was the median. Okay. Oop, I want that guy to stay. There we go. That's the median. So now we have to find the dot that represents the lower quartile and the dot that represents the upper quartile. Well, as you can see, we don't have an odd number. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, what I have to do here is I look at the median of these, which is right there, and the median of these, which is right there. Now, the way that I find that is the same way I found this thing right here. I do the same exact thing. So I'm going to do a different color here. I do 12 plus 13, and that is 25. And I do 25 divided by 2, which is 12.5. So that means at this point down here, I'm going to do it in black so it matches, is 12.5 exactly. Now I'm going to do the same thing, and so I'm going to do it in red with these numbers, with the 21 right here and the 29 right here. Same thing, just on the other side. So I'm going to do 29 plus 21, which is 50. And I do 50 divided by 2, which, if you have your calculators handy, is exactly 25. So that means that this one is 25. Now, I'm not done yet. I have all the numbers, but I have to draw my box. So I do this box right here, like that. Draw the line to the center. And now I'm done. So 17 is the median, right there. 25 is the upper. 12.5 is the lower. 10 is the smallest. 32 is the largest. And then lastly, I just draw those lines to connect. That's what it looks like. Okay, the only other part, if you need to pause it, the only other part of the lesson for today is called, the interquartile range. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we would find the interquartile range when we already have our plot. Okay, so our diagram is done. The way we find what is called, this is called the interquartile range. Now you think about normal range is the biggest minus the smallest, which would be 32 minus 10. We're not doing that on this one. The interquartile range is taking this number and this number and using it to subtract. So we would do 25 minus 12.5, which is exactly 12.5. So the range of the interquartile is from this number to that number. So just what's inside the box. Okay, so when you have a problem like that, you're just trying to find what's inside the box, you just do the bigger one minus the smaller one. So if you need, I'll do another example real fast. So let's say that these numbers were totally different. Okay, it doesn't really matter what the end numbers were. Add this 10 back. Let's say that instead it had been, this was 15, this was 18, and this was 24. What I would have done in this problem is I would have said the interquartile range. To solve that, all I do is I go from this point to this point. So I do 24 minus 15, and that equals 9. So my interquartile range would have been 9 in such a problem. Okay, so that's our lesson for today. I'm going to try and keep it shorter. We're going to do the next half of this lesson in our next video, but I didn't want to overwhelm you all with one lesson. So stay tuned, keep going with me here because I got the homework. So this is page Number 402, we finally made the 200s, or the 400s. We're talking about that before we went on break. We're just doing 1 through 15 all. Okay, that's all that you have to do. And then we will pick up the second half of this lesson in our next video. So stay tuned, and I will see you all soon, hopefully. But Mr. H is over and out. Until next time.